All right, welcome back. And Juve's Legacy clearly have made other plans tonight because they want this done before 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I think they got a board game night planned or something like that. I mean, I was going to say something about going outside, but unfortunately that's not allowed at the moment. But no, it's crazy how close these games are, even though the bot lane is of Legacy is stomping order that hard, right? Like that's a 40-minute game. Team fights going kind of either way, and it's still kind of in the balance. And it just goes to show that like the order bot lane really just needs to stabilize. And they need to, where I see it going all wrong, and it's going to be a little bit ironic because it's happening at level 1. They're actually, so Ayla and no. So Ayla and Rare 7 are actually losing their lane at level 1, trying to get push in a matchup in where they can't get push. Specifically because they leashed as well, right? And so like in all of these games, they're trying to push for 2 first, then they realize halfway through they can't get level 2, they lose their pot, they lose half their HP, and they lose 2 turret plates in the first 4 minutes of lane, and you just can't recover from that.
Yeah,
I mean, in Spawn, it's all going wrong when they boot up League of Legends. That's
what he pretty much said, isn't it? Do you know what it actually is, Nick? I figured it out. We got told by our production staff that we're going to play NPL after this best of, if it's a quick best of. And Legacy want the real mental win, which is me having to play NPL, because that will lose my team the gauntlet in the long run, because I'm not mentally cut out to getting slapped around by them and then having to play NPL. But
that's
like,
so true.
In all honesty, like Juves is correct. Like, you can give up the shove if you keep your potions, if you keep your summoner spells. You can, even give up a couple of turret plates, I think, if you're going to play heavy for the bounce and maybe gank off the bounce or go for some invades or maybe grab a dragon or something like that. You can do like multiple different things in laning phase, but you can't just give up the shove whilst losing cleanse as well as a potion and then lose turret plates. Because at that stage, your laning phase is genuinely done at that point in the game. You need to either stay high health so you can get ganked for, or you need to fight and win the push. And the unfortunate thing is that Order are losing on both fronts. And this game, like last game, I think they kind of slow played the lane and then made a mistake kind of 6 minutes in. This game, like as Juve said, it was just like from level 1. In saying that, across Summoner's Rift, other members of Legacy are starting to play better. Tally had a much more improved game, I think, on the Ziggs. Topoon solo killed Swiper in this game. So we are starting to see Legacy as a team warm up. They kind of look like Order yesterday where, like, part of their map was online. Now a different part of their map is online. If Babip joins the party in this game, I actually don't think this is going to be a 40-minute game. With how the rest of Legacy is starting to play, they should start to roll over Order in this kind of form, because Order look like they're completely disjointed. Looks like their team fights are starting to look a little bit worse. There was 2 missed shockwaves that were pretty crucial in that game. And, Legacy's jungler is kind of the last person that needs to have a good performance for this to be an absolute whitewash, in my opinion.
I will say in Babip's defense, though, it is very hard to have a standout performance when you're in these types of matchups, right? Only's he had the Trundle in game 1, okay, but in this game specifically, he's playing Trundle into Karthus, so you do expect him to fall down in levels, fall down in EXP, and let's be honest, there's nothing flashy a Trundle can do, right? We're never going to be looking at a Trundle and say, oh my god, the Subjugate was so nice.
I think it was little things though. Like I agree with you. Like I think like his item build was good. Like he played a couple of team fights okay, but like he could have picked out Rare on 2 occasions. The first gank into bottom lane, he pillared way too early. He should have pillared the flash because he was in auto attack range when Ayla actually burnt flash, but he pillared for no reason. Like I could give you like maybe 4 or 5 micro examples, and I'm not the best player of League of Legends, so I generally don't do it to pros, but there are examples of this game where he's just outright misplaying. So I do take your point. He's not playing the flashiest champions, but I still think that he's like getting outperformed by Only, regardless of the pick ban right now. I think Only's having a better series than what Babip is.
Obviously, the loser in this matchup still has a second chance as they go into the lower bracket, so there is some safety net to be able to catch them. But Juves, if you're going to reverse sweep, now is your last chance. What is it that Order can do now to be able to get back into this?
I think that I know what Ayla's comforts are, and I think Nautilus seems to be a bit of a comfort champion for him. But I think we need to flip the script on bot lane. It's obviously not working. You've had 2 games to sort out level 1 or your laning phase, right? And it's not just this is 2 games where the Order bot lane have been kind of underwhelming, right? It was a bit of yesterday as well. So I think just freshening it up. giving them a new matchup, a new approach, maybe a new way to play level 1, a new way to play lane, because I feel like if they can steady their bot lane up, give only, the chance to play through mid lane, because they've been doing that quite well, specifically yesterday, then maybe we have a game on our hands, because Legacy for me aren't a team that play through mid very well. Right, like they're not a team where Tally plays a traditional mid lane champion, has mega prio, and links up with Babip to do things on Summoner's Rift. If we look at the games that they've played today specifically, it's been straight through bot lane, straight through top lane. It's kind of always just been like a bypass through mid, and Tally just TPs to the play. So for me, Order just shake it up a little bit, get some stable lanes, get something where Only can play through Harry, and maybe we have a game on our hands. But as for Legacy, right, like as Spawn said, just play the same way. Everything's working for them at the moment.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. I think that's the biggest takeaway from Legacy. I think what they want is they actually want Control Mage into Control Mage. I think, like, I've been saying this for a long time. Tally's not going to give you an Orianna or an Azir, but he is going to give you a, Ziggs, a Victor, these kind of matchups. And I feel like if Harry is getting baited into the Orianna versus, other Control Mage, like, Tally is going to do, like, kind of 80-85% of the job that he's doing, and with the 80 carry out performance that we're seeing, I think that's going to be enough. I think, as I said, like, Topoon is actually just a really class player. He is just so fun to watch play the game of League of Legends. He doesn't make those micro mistakes that, like, I was calling other players out for, which is why I always have said, like, he's the best player in the competition at the moment. So I think, like, Order's team is, like, up against it. I want to see him play like Gragas Yasuo or something. I'm like exactly like Juves. I think like you put your bottom lane on Heimerdinger Karma, like the least offensive lane you can think of on Summoner's Rift, and then you just play Gragas Yasuo.
Well, that just might be an Ezreal lane
or something. I mean, they've been losing the Ezreal lane, so it can't be Ezreal.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but they actually, to be fair, they did look their best on the Ezreal lane. It's the fact that they didn't TP. That was a discipline thing, not actually, them just being outclassed, I would say. Right? It was more a discipline punish as opposed to, hey, your button clicking isn't that good or your matchup knowledge isn't that good.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that not taking that recall was actually... And, it's funny that you mentioned that because, like, depending on what you remember about that game one, like, if you remember the 2v2 kill, maybe you identify that and you can fix it. But if you remember the flip to the top side and the full turret going down and you getting killed underneath your turret by Olaf, maybe you just think the lane is unplayable, when in reality... Like, if you just hadn't have made the first mistake and lost your flash,
it was going fine.
You probably don't make all the subsequent mistakes that happen in the game, right? Like, it probably is okay to run that one back. I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit disheartened at the moment because it just feels like Raze is, like, a step above. Like, I don't even know whether Isles is playing that well. It's so hard to actually judge Isles' play because of how well Raze is playing in a lot of these situations.
Look, I will say that I've been very vocal on social media about how good I think Ayla is. And I thought that Ayla has been the best support in this split in particular during the regular season. But I would say in these games, yes, Raze has been a standout player. Yes, Raze has been the one that's obviously just pumping out the damage. But I think Ios has been the catalyst to like all of the future success that Raze has been able to have in this series. The flash bindings in lane without being able to react and just getting Raze those like BF sword advantages for me actually has been Isles. And I think by far Isles has been, probably a bit of an unsung hero in this series specifically, because again, he's just been making those plays, hitting those abilities, and really like once your Caitlyn has the BF sword, then it is up to Caitlyn, right? But it's up to Isles to get Raze there, and Isles has done that every single game so far.
All right, well, Legacy are certainly on a roll right now, but Order, if there is a team that can stop them because they just play in a way that creates drama, then Order are probably it. In the meantime, let's get your mind off League of Legends. Let's stop thinking about the games. Just have a bit of reset. Let's jump into the Nick bag.
Oh, Nick bag! Thank goodness.
Oh, so briefly. Yeah, screw LCK. It's done. It's done for tonight.
I thought we were gonna go LCK again. I was so scared.
There we go. Welcome to the Nick Bag, where you send in your questions. We answer them. The first three are from Anonymous. Number one, what is the best OPL bromance, and why is it Pete and Spawn?
Is that a question, or are you telling me?
No, this is a question.
Yeah, no, but like when you give your opinion in the question, then it's no longer a question. It's more of a nudge. It's more of a nudge to agreement.
We can lose the. Do you agree with the second half? Because I mean, before it absolutely last year it was Spooks and Swift.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Look, I think there's a lot of chemistry and a lot of tension between Pete and Spawn. Some would say, yeah, I definitely think there's chemistry. Bromance, I'm not too sure. Because when I picture bromance, I picture it like the Swiffer, the Spooks, the Pabu, and well, Pabu's had a few bromances. He's actually a little bit of a cheater on his bros, if you ask me. Because I would have said it's Pabu and Prayless, but now it's Pabu and Get Back. They did have a little bit of bromance though.
Yeah, right. Spawn?
Unless you're in the individual houses, it's really hard to like tell these ones. But I can tell you, like in my opinion, it's like Only and Harry.
Yeah, okay.
Like they're actually like Harry's the tilter and Only's the calming voice, and when Only isn't excited enough, Harry will yell at him to get him excited. They're like kind of what Jules was saying. I think there's a difference between having good synergy and chemistry and like good banter, like me and Pete do, and then like actually being in a relationship where like you're building each other up and helping each other through their deficiencies, and
right before you bring them down.
Exactly right. Right before you take the North American contract and get them out of but yeah, that's what I think from my angle. I also think like I was going to say the Pentanet guys as well, but I think like Biopanther is actually the bromance kind of guy, because having seen that guy at Origin, when stuff goes wrong, he actually is a person that will go around and like rally all the troops. So I reckon he would have a couple of bromances too.
For sure. I reckon I actually had thought Bio and Get Back.
Yeah.
Because watching that video of them where they were, I think they were naming champ abilities or something, there was a spark, and you just can't fake that kind of thing on camera. It's just there or it's not. Next one comes in from a unban me from Twitch chat. Absolutely not.
Is that is that just a non, or is it?
No, this is. I don't know who. They didn't actually say who they were. They just put it in there. But I mean, Rusty can attest this. The amount of people who get banned and then immediately message you and like, "Hey, can you just unban me?"
I'm gonna go out on a limb.
It's never gonna happen.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, if you've been banned from Riot Games O's permanently, then you must be a pig.
Because our standards are so
We don't ban
low.
many people, but if you've gotten banned, then you have to be a terrible person. And that's just that. Because, dude, I'm not even banned from chat, and I literally just say double lift greater than BRTT every time.
It's so true. It's so true. We should really look into how Jews ever got into the broadcast. Neebasher says the real bromance is Nick Boy and his cardigans, and I think that's true. And then Mammoth and Nick Boy. Basically, Nick Boy and anybody. I get around. All right, it's time for game number 3. Can Order do anything to be able to stop the bleed that Legacy are inflicting? But we are about to find out as we jump into game number 3 and the Macca's Champ Select.
And off we go once again. Legacy lead the best of 5 series 2-0. They're looking for the clean, perfect ace here tonight. They want a 3-0. They want to really make teams in this playoffs run be terrified of what they can achieve. But you asked the question before there, Rusty, what would change? They made a few adaptations with their draft, but this time they're going to opt for blue sides.
Yeah, they're going to change the side of the rift. They're also going to change their third ban here, Skimmy. So it's going to be the Yuumi, which has been seen once during the ban phase as a 4-5 round ban. Makes me wonder exactly what their plans are going to be here. And if it's something that they know Legacy would play, like if they lock in Caitlyn, is it going to be like an instant as Yuumi or something like that on the other side with an Olaf composition? It does seem like Order have their priorities though. And so the question that you have to ask, as this is exactly what you would expect to see from them, is would it be the Caitlyn or would it be the Nidalee? And now we know that they prefer the Caitlyn. We know that Only has been insane on this pick. The one loss that he has on it in playoffs, he didn't even die. He was like 3-0.
Yep.
The rest of his team, unfortunately, and it was one of those bot lane games that we saw from them yesterday, was a major difference. But Legacy have put the foot down. They've gone for the Caitlyn Bard.
They most certainly have, and this was going to be the question coming into this one. What would Legacy ban away? Were they even scared of what the Nidalee and Caitlyn would offer? Well, no, they're just going to let them both through and say, you can pick one and we'll pick the other. And just like that, Order going to respond and say, well, whilst you continue to go with this Caitlyn, I'm going to cycle through those AD carries once again. And is this the magical game here, Rusty? Because we saw game number 3. That is when Rare really started to show up and said, okay, I'm comfortable with what I'm going into. Obviously, yesterday was an Ashe that Praetor was playing. But they're going to go right out of the gates with an Ashe and Morgana.
And it just feels better, you know? Like, just seeing them pick the Ashe Morgana, going for this type of lane control style lane where they can just sit there, they can clear waves, they're not going to run the risk of losing at level 1 you would expect, of course, now that they're into the Bard as well. This just is a better look, in my opinion, anyway, for the bot lane of Order, and for Order as a whole then, as a result. You know, you've got your engage tools in bottom lane, you've got your utility from down there as well, you've got only on his most comfortable champion right now that has often been banned away from him. And now we get to see what matchup he's going to have as well, and how that influences the mid lane 2v2, as Order get the counter pick in that role also.
Yeah, I certainly do. And this is so intriguing for me, the fact that, one, Rare continues to change his champion, but the fact that Legacy is saying, we're putting all our eggs into the basket of denying Harry that strength. We're not going to make it too easy now with that Orianna. We've targeted already the Azir. We saw Pensnet do this also when they were on red side last night, where they said, Irelia, we remove it. We see what this guy can do if he plays early. You just think about that first big fight he showed up for, instantly, just like that, a quadra kill. But Order, to make sure that if you're targeting our mid laner, we're going to continue to show favor towards Tapoon.
And I don't think I want the Olaf in this composition if I was Legacy. I'd be thinking much more of like a couple of those hovers, the Rek'Sai, the Lee Sin, if you're looking for physical damage as an option. Volibear does actually have the jump in as well, so you can use the Galio with the Volibear. And I think the major point there is you don't want to have to rely on just defending the Caitlyn, right? You want to give yourself a second option of some kind in regards to your team fighting. And so now you've got the Volibear Galio that can follow up after a Bard ultimate, and then of course you've got your Bard Caitlyn combo. What's left for the team is a counter pick for Tapoon, which is terrifying to deal with if you were Swiper. So no surprises here, he will go for the Scion. The question is, what does Tapoon play against it? Because he's got a lot of champions that he could pull out at any time, such as the Kayle.
He certainly does. We know that he can play a lot of these different matchups. He's got the Gnar, one that we thought that potentially Swiper at some point would showcase as well on 10-14 when they got that nice little buff. What I'm intrigued about, just returning to the Volibear, is the fact that Babip has never ever played this champion all year long. We know obviously it is insanely strong since the rework, but this is the champion, this is the most banned champion that Legacy have had all split long. They're going to obviously see it come through and now utilize it to try and make the series the perfect 3-0. Harry says, well, if you deny away one assassin in the Irelia, there's another one still up in the Akali. This screams to me a big stand-up performance from him today.
Okay, and we're going to go for the Cho'Gath as the last pick. You're actually very good into Scion, of course. You've got 2 different disrupt tools for a Scion Q, which is the one major weapon that he has during laning phase. You're going to scale up as a tank nicely, and you would often say just has more damage in general. It is a magic damage dealer though, so a lot of the reliance on physicality comes from Babip in that top side of the map. And there is the one tank of Swiper up there, so in regards to resistances, Swiper's going to have a decent run of this one through what he is able to purchase. The Akali pick into the Galio does have a lot of ability to dodge out on the taunts and things like that. You know, the fact that you can't taunt flash anymore does make that matchup a little bit better. You also get to go for your Cutlass in the build if you're looking for extra sustain and some physical damage, where the Magic Shield's not going to provide a whole lot. I'm actually looking at the Summoner spell choices, rather the rune choices of Tally, to see what he chooses to go in this one, because you probably aren't going to be able to proc that Aftershock very often, and you'd most likely consider the Unsealed Spellbook into Akali.
And it is a good topic about what sort of summoners and runes we're going to get, because for Legacy, whenever they have had this Cho'Gath, 4 games have been played by Tally and Tally only. And when he has utilized it, a bit different to what Swiper showcased in terms of going for the 4 tank. No, he's gone for Glacial Augment. He's gone for all the item activatables. We're talking Spooky Ghost, GLP, make it as annoying as possible for you to play the game. You're locked down. There's the Easy Impel, the Rupture, the Damage, the Feast, and the ability to say that if you're caught out of position, if you're very immobile, like this Ashe will be, you're going to be so damn reliant on a Nidalee Hill or a Morgana Shield.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not going to be the best game to be an Ashe, but really the way that this game seems to be panning out for me, like Legacy, if the Caitlyn dies, then you're going to be losing a little bit of damage there, that much is for certain. Especially in the way of physical damage against someone like a Scion. When you're looking at Order's composition, you kind of just sit back a little bit if you were Rare and pick your fights, right? Just throw those Ws, pick your moment to put the damage out as best you can. And it's going to be about kiting around Tally's taunt, probably more than anything else. The Black Shield is going to be massive for something like a Bard ultimate, actually huge to prevent any kind of engage from that. So should be okay up until he picks his battle, as AD carries are just having a crack, and that was a potion advantage.
They certainly are, and we might see more at it. One is teleport and one is cleanse. No heal to find any advantage and no support in the area to use it ignite. Ayla does have it. Rocks up to that situation just a little bit too late. It's game number 3. Legacy lead the series so far. They're sitting on match point. Order are hoping that they can take a little bit of control of the series back into their hands. Nidalee will be there for only. We know that is, his go-to champion, one that showcased so much potential and so much damage as well. And we know what Harry Zakali is about. Ability to be decisive, communication to be on point. Is this the game to bring things back?
So Only's going to start topside at his blue buff. Not too surprising, of course, being a Nidalee. Should be very comfortable getting the blue buff for himself. Also, the way that the bot lane played that level 1, it's no surprise that he's not going to go near that side of the map at all. And Red chooses to walk himself to lane. Now, he will get there much faster than Raze, who got pushed behind his turret for the reset, because Ayla was there looking to disrupt those recalls. That may well be an experience different. It's kind of a shame that we didn't get to actually see that bottom lane, because you would have to assume that the first 3 minions from Raze went missing, but as you can see from the wave itself, that's actually not the case. He may have missed 1. And that does mean he gets level 2 much later, and that's lane control for Order. But hey, they've done it, Skibby. They've got level 2, they've pushed into the turret for free, things going much better.
Certainly is. Game number 3 here, the magical number for Order in their bottom lane when they are fully warmed up and ready to rock and roll. Let's see if they can try and snowball that into at least some form of advantage, maybe a kill. Maybe a chance to get some turret plates of their own. We know that Ashe can be very annoying, much like the Caitlyn. The trade will take place in the mid lane here, making sure that Harry won't have all the freedom in the world when he goes for that smoke screen.
Until he has gone for the Predator here once again. It does seem to be the standard for him at the very least, and a couple of other Gallios here and there around the world. It does mean that he won't have Ignite or Exhaust spike timings in his 1v1 trade. Kali's just going to have a bit of a better time in general. As you can see, the Cho'Gath and Sion matchup, very fun and interactive. Well, you know what? It is interactive. I would say fun is not what it is, though. Just a lot of crowd control being thrown at each other.
Looking to stack up their runes as quickly as can be. Here comes Oni, now looking for a potential play towards the bottom side of the map. Babbitt was there, waiting in the wings, seeing if anything would continue. Nothing made of it, however. Both did have their double buff available, as Isles was looking to try and form a bit of control over that Scuttle, which is successful. Top Scuttle is still there for the taking, and the fact that Only has revealed himself should mean that Legacy get both to start this game off.
Red did just hard lose the trade, though, in the 1v1 down in bottom lane, and because neither of them had potions given their trade at level 1, that is a pretty big advantage for Raze. He also has the Bard on his team, so extra sustain in general going down to that lane. However, Isles just used his heal, so...
No, and he's going to flash away from the Dark Binding as well. Not going to be caught out of that one. Predictable is the trajectory of that little teleport. It's only completely invested in spot lane as well. I've not got any control of this map with those Scuttles. I need to try and find something, either be it a push or a kill.
They're just going to let the wave crash. The threat of the dive is obviously here, but Raze has cleanse, so they'd be looking to bind Isles only realistically. Otherwise, they're not going to have any filter at all. But just a nice little zone away. Unfortunately, he's not going to lose any minions from it, however. And that just means that Only has spent a whole lot of time down here that Babbitt's been able to farm from. Now that is a sizable, for a Volibear into a Nidalee, advantage in terms of farm.
Certainly is. We'll get to see what that means, because getting to level 6 first as Volibear is always a nice little power spike. The ability to then disable a turret, make those tower dives that much easier to facilitate. And to find a lane to influence. We talk about how good AP junglers are, especially when that first item comes on through. Jungle item in particular, speeding up and accelerating it big time. But we know that a Volibear, when he's got his flash available, you have to flash just to match him.
Absolutely true, but its CS advantage is just really starting to forge through laning phase as an isolated factor in this one, Skimmy. You've got the 15 CS in top lane. We already spoke about what that matchup kind of involves, but it's very hard to beat the Sion. You would definitely say Cho'Gath favored. You can see, just because junglers are showing themselves elsewhere on the map, for Swiper, he has to show a lot more respect to where Babbitt's whereabouts were. So it does fall down in CS's almost an expected amount, realistically. Mid lane going quite nicely. nicely for Hayri, though. Has found himself a decent CS advantage. Considering that was basically just isolated. That's very well done here from the Akali. And bot lane is about a wave in advantage for an Ashe, but when you've had a Nidalee down here a few times, that's not massively surprising. Not to mention the CS and experience leads that come from just having the crazy level 1 antics that gave experience over to Rare and not to Raze.
What will it mean for this lane as a whole? You can see that only continues to hover to spot lane. Ray's got the fancy feet, not going to get caught out of that binding anytime soon. Going to make sure that he finds all the efficiency in the world when it comes to using that Summoner Cleanse. But that it, well aware of this one. Knows that the potential fight could take place at any second now. We obviously know what level 6 means for the all-in capacity of both these bot lane duos, but jungle impact could be huge in deciding.
Nice little trade there from Kali, going to put down some damage, and really never going to get too much damage taken back to himself. Hayri's just going to try his best to put some damage down. Has the fleet footwork as well, that Akali in mid lane, so just looking to sustain his way through. That extra move speed going to be nice to have. One thing that was mentioned from our analyst desk, which isn't really a desk, from the 3 guys in a call, was that playing around Hayri may be a better avenue of success here for Order. And, you know, using the mid lane as a conduit to get to the rest of the lanes, you know, as a catalyst to find success in bot lane. It's something that you'd want to see from the likes of Order. And this is an Akali game, so enabling that Akali to get kills at all is going to be significant. In saying that, it is a Nidalee Akali against a Galio. So especially once the Merc Shreds are there for Tally, which you would assume he has the money for now, that's just tough. You know, so it's probably just going to be about pushing that mid wave with priority and then translating your gameplay down to bot lane, especially once Rare hits.
A good point you raise. It's going to be very tough for the Akali to actually access this fight, let alone even try and get to this Caitlyn. The amount of taunts, stuns, and big bruises that'll put themselves in harm's way to protect him. Interesting to see how Harry can try to unlock this game and make it a favourable one for him. We're going to see that the first dragon was picked up here by Legacy, and they're going to utilise the fact that all the momentum continues to favour them by them going for the first dragon a lot earlier this time around as well. We've seen this be a continued trend here from them that's allowed them to build these, you know, big 3k gold leads that just give them a slight edge, enough of an edge. And then
Red is ulted bot lane. Success. And we're just... Stuff was used bot. Skibby? There was an Ashe ultimate used down there, only was in the area. We got to see the Herald be taken, but you could see the trade attempt there from only on the opposite side of the map, at least through the spells that were used. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to find anything. That was bad with top lane.
Yeah, missing there for Raze, but top lane is where the action is at. Tally's ultimate's going to come on through, not going to do much, but it is going to mean that they can go for this first kill. Ultimate on, no, it does not seem to matter. CC him, prevent him from doing anything from the afterlife. Legacy, get first blood.
And how oppressive that is, you know? You've got a Cho'Gath to be able to silence the Scion, stop him from having any kind of escape. And then Volibear just own-wreckers the tower, you know, disables the turret from being able to auto-attack. And now you're just dead to rights, let alone the Galio coming in as well to ensure that one was successful. Order, of course, as you would expect, are going to look to try and trade on the other side of the map. But they're fighting against what was already a Rift Herald take, right? Complete objective control going the way of Legacy. Now they're going to break the first turret of the game. It is going to be shared between Babip and Topping, but that's perfectly fine. And the gold difference just went from, you know, 600 down to 600 up.
Certainly did. They've invested everything, have Order, into their bottom lane, hence why you're seeing a 20 CS difference between the likes of this Ashe and Caitlyn. First little skirmish, the first little 2v2, flashing away, trying to find himself that little heal, but he can't. Too little, too late. Ignite difference OP, tether and damage was there for the taking, and Order will find one for themselves.
Yeah, I think that we're looking to pick Rare without Ayla nearby, but he's just around the corner, unfortunately, for the side of Legacy. That Q attempted to pick. You know, when a Bard throws an ultimate, you're waiting for the Q to hit. That's actually 2.5 seconds, right, where you're not really dealing damage, and that's plenty of time for Ayla to get to the area. And Rare, with Flash still available, Skimmy, they're able to pick up that kill in the bot lane 2v2. And I think this is basically confirmation that it takes 3 games, and by the time we hit game 3, Order's 2v2 have actually warmed up.
We've said it, but the proof is in the pudding here, because we're seeing the results speak for themselves right now. A kill that they also desperately need was Ayla that picked it up, Ignite OP. but it rewards the pressure that they have shown so far in this first 10 minutes. And Legacy disciplined enough to say, well, that's okay for us. We get our Caitlyn. We know that Raze can play it. We're going to summon a Herald top and continue the gold lead in our favor.
Italy's been chased down, gonna have to run away. 4 people of Legacy in mid lane with no Bard ultimates, no Galio ultimates, no Volley Bear ultimates. Just kind of brute forcing their way, looking for the objective more than anything else. Top in being here, basically you want to say secures it. In saying that, of course, Swiper has reset his way to the area. And we may honestly be looking at a potential 5v5. I think at the current moment, though, without those ultimates fully available for Legacy, you'd probably be favoring Order just a little bit. Ash ult could be thrown at any moment.
It shows the switch up here from Order. They want to make fights happen, and they want to make them happen right now. Out goes the Rupture, but the shield prevents it. It is now a Bard ultimate that locks in place too. Here comes Tally looking for a Taunt. There's the ultimate. They're looking for the Nidalee, dropping him low, zoned away from the fight straight away. There's the Tether. There's the flash away. Nobody's going to fall on down just yet. But members are low. Harry's still on this flank, still looking for that access avenue. But knowing how much CC is in the inventory here for Legacy, it's not going to be that easy to find.
Fortunately, the Spear not going to connect there at the same time as that knock-up by the Scion, but it does seem like Order containing Legacy to such a small area of the map. It's going to be difficult for Tally to get that mid lane control, but by himself has finally got the ultimate back and available. So this does mean that, Legacy with a little bit more initiative for themselves, a bit of easier access to those waves and that mid lane priority will actually kick off the objective. And it seems like they want to take the burger flip. Here we go.
There he goes. Harry's got his ultimate. He's looking for that execution, looking for that key target. Here comes the Hero's Entrance, looking to try and knock up as many people as possible. There's the mitigation. There's the big magical shields. And there now looks to be the Legacy disengage. Swiper posturing very aggressively there, hunting for more, making sure that he's a warm body for members to surround. And that zoning will be just enough to ensure that Order will not only find a kill trade back, but a Dragon 2.
Yeah, and very timid from both these teams, really testing the waters before they fully commit themselves to anything. But that was brilliant stuff from Order, realistically, Throw the Ash Arrow out initially, the correct choice. They find the target, they get a lot of damage down, they kind of remove the Cho'Gath from being a major factor and a major tank by any means, as he was half health. And then Hayri comes in for the flank for the re-engage. They'll secure the objective, they'll prevent Legacy from having 2 back-to-back Drakes. They'll make the game a little bit more protracted, which is something I'm sure they're not too worried about. And they kind of do this without item spikes, Only really the Nidalee seems like a point of real power at the moment, but it was 2 Cutlass spikes and components for Swiper in top lane. So they're not staring at this Drake saying, we're strong, let's fight. They're staring at it saying, we have ult advantage, let's utilize the time that we have, and they do so accordingly.
I think the biggest difference we're noticing as to why Order are contesting so early is we're not looking at AD or AP carries that are reliant on those tier item spikes, right? We've got Cutlasses, that's instant power, ready for the boot, ready to go, ready to showcase there. So despite there not being the big item spikes that you highlight, there's still a lot of combat tendencies that would mean that they were both very willing to take.
Rare going to want to reset soon, you would expect, given the D-Rip Herald is about 20 seconds from being available. If that's an objective they're going to look at. It's already broken a top lane outer turret and gave a lot of gold over to the side of Topoon and to Babip. You would expect that that objective is something worth considering here, as once again, Cho'Gath, Galio, no ultimates. Big deal for Legacy when it comes to that 5v5 team fighting. Ashara, however, available again.
That certainly is, and you'd imagine that's going to be the go-to way for them to summon these fights. That or the ability for Swiper to make a cross-map play, hit them with charge, and find a key target to knock up. Not going to be too easy when the flashes aren't there for Legacy. Might have to put their body on the line, prevent anybody from hitting those key targets. You know that Raze has all this protection built around him again. We've seen it really be the narrative of this series. Caitlyn gets let through. They pick champions that can engage. They pick champions that can build items like the Knight's Vow, the Locket, ensure that he is protected. But much stronger start here from Order. And the pressure that they showcase in the bottom lane is paying off so far.
And such a different pace of game, Like, we're even in gold 15 minutes into this one. We're not following the killer-minute trajectory of game number 1 of his best of. It is much more of that cerebral style of league. Both teams slowing down. Order maybe saying perhaps we're at match point, it's 2-0 against us. Let's stop making mistakes or being overly bold. But they are still making calculated decisions, They are still looking for these objectives and taking what they can, especially when it's free. not forcing errors really from the side of Legacy. They're just playing of their own accord. But they're starting to get those item spikes, Skimmy. Starting to find those points of power. Definitely something that they could utilize to force the issue just a bit more.
Could be interesting to know how they continue this momentum if they can keep it up. Stands. They are finding CS advantages in all the right places and sustaining them. Mid
He's doing
jungle
top
and
lane,
ADC as
Skimmy.
well. Yeah, they're just battling it out for those grass procs.
Just intermittable. Just too big. There's just too much health. Topu crests over to 11. Now he gets more health from those feast stacks that he has. Sion, as time goes on, gets health from every last hit that he makes and currently has 130. Well, he may not be on the clock. That's a boatload of extra HP that he's given to himself.
Now this is a little bit scary. The binding doesn't connect. Tally has to be careful right now. Going to go for the charge. There's the arrow. He has no cleanse. He's in a whole bunch of trouble right now. And with Blade Rune King there for the Ashe. Makes it very easy for Ashe to take you down. The 4-man collapse is successful. That means they get a turret as well. The first of the game for Order. And the kill, most importantly, goes the way of Rare.
I feel like Tally could have lived that one. Ever since that binding misses, had the flash. Used the dash, unfortunately, into a spear. Oh, Babbitt's going to be caught as well here. Does not choose to use his ultimate out to safety, so at least gets to hold that one. Tally dies without the flash being used, without really using any ultimates or anything either. Does mean that he'll at least have them available. We have a Infernal Dragon fight in 35 seconds. Maybe that was the point, right? Galio does want to be able to keep that Nimbus cloak. It's a major component of his team fighting success.
Yeah, want to ult to safety as well. Wants to utilize that for the fight. We know how important it could be for preventing a collapse, a dive attempt that both the Sun and Akali be looking to achieve, as well as the shielding mitigation that it provides. We talk about the Blade Rune King spike there for the Ashe now. Ray says equaled things out coming into this third dragon. He's got himself the Infinity Edge. And that'll be Order from moments prior. Now saying, okay, the plates are gone. Here's a Herald. Deal with that.
And instead of going straight towards the Drake, they are going to usher this Herald towards the mid lane outer turret and try and get the charge off. They should be successful in getting a charge. Teleports are coming in as well from Swiper to secure that one. The Bard, of course, is going to deny that, Skimmy.
Legacy were hoping there that they could do enough damage before the charge went off, but in the end, having to commit there with the Tempered Fate. Order will be able to enter into this next dragon with an ult advantage, and that'll be enough for Legacy to say, well, we'll give it across to you.
Be taken free. Legacy are going to look to invade the enemy blue side jungle instead. Just knowing that they're not going to contest it, so they take what they can. Again, smart decision. One of the biggest pet peeves that I think we have in League of Legends at the moment is someone's taking the Drake and the enemy team that knows they can't fight just posture. They stare their opponents down like, you make a mistake, I swear God, I'm right here, I'm going to catch you. Instead of just making money elsewhere on the map. So Legacy do the smart thing. They'll go towards the blue side jungle. They'll give a blue buff to Raze. They will lose the mid lane outer turret anyway.
Uh-oh. Raze in trouble. Forced to burn both summoners. Hit with the spear now. There's a leap forward. Trying to get to the magical journey. He cannot. Too predictable. Too easy for Order. And too easy to get a double. You give only his Nidalee. That's why you can take Caitlyn, because we've got this on blue side.
And just so much better from Order. Just so much better in general. They're at 4-1 in kills. They've got control of the map for objectives. They sacked exactly what they needed to. They're playing to win conditions. Ashe arrows are hitting the mark. I mean, it's night and day between the last two games and this one.
It certainly is. We talked about it during the regular spit, that there could have been a dragon curse. We saw Order once upon a time always posturing for those dragons and then dying only moments prior. Now feels like we come into this one about game number 3 being where the magic really begins. It's almost like Order thrive under this pressure. They welcome it. They want it. And so far, they are using it to good effect, because at the 20-minute mark, they will find not only a kill advantage, a structural advantage, but a 2k gold lead as well.
We've got our Rod of Ages with the Seeker's Arm Guard now for only as well. He'll start the stacking process on that Rod. Even more damage going to start coming from this Nidalee. He always finds a way. Only always finds a way to be the one who picks up those kills when these skirmishes happen, and he does so much work with the money that you can never complain when he does. Also a boatload of farm for Hayri right now. 214 on this Akali, 218 now, of course. He takes down the Scuttle, I believe. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And Raze has no summoner spells. He doesn't have a Lux. He doesn't have a Lulu. He is just playing the Caitlyn Bard, which, you know, the biggest part of this combo is just putting traps down where someone's stunned or altered. So he is susceptible to deaths from assassins in this game. I mean, Order definitely poised so much better.
Most certainly are. And that level 1 fight in the river to kick this fight off, to the fact of who got to lane first to get small little leads, and then the pressure that has been put on it through only hovering in the area. They're going to pull the trigger again. He's got no cleanse. He's in so much trouble. Isles can't help him. He can't give him a ticket out of jail there. And with the Barons being spawned at the 20-minute mark, fit to the name itself, Order, they want to go for gold.
Yeah, they throw the spear just a little bit wide onto the Baron. They don't actually clear the vision. Oh, that's super tragic. Legacy know exactly how much health it has. They have a Cho'Gath who has flash as well. So if it comes down to a smite fight, Order may try and play the game around what they think is vision control, but they don't have it at all, I believe. They've actually just placed a control ward, so
He can't
maybe
see it.
that does sweep it? Nah, surely
can't see
not.
it.
They can see it for sure.
Oh no, here he goes, flashing across the pit, hits them with the charge, coming into the Poon, and on the flank, here his entrance, it's going to knock out 2. Now he's looking for the Taunt, trying to prevent Akali kind of finding any influence in this one, and as Swiper flashes forward, he certainly wishes he could flash on back. He's going to die. That's a first kill. The Baron bait is not successful. The shield on Morgana prevents Babbitt finding a stun as a volley bear, and the Baron bait is complete. Legacy say thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to come back into this game. The Vision OP, it's our time to shine.
They're going to teleport their way back to mid lane here as well. Order looking to see what they can get done to stop Legacy from getting this Baron after the team fight. Knock comes around.
Oh, flashing forward to hit the taunt. There's a 2-man stun! There's the Stormbringer. Ayla's gone, so is Lindley. No smite, shutdown galore. Oh no, they committed there with the teleports. They thought they had it there, did they, Order? Unfortunately for them, the Legacy, they had the understanding and they had the ability to execute.
And the Baron is most likely just gone. Rare's going to try the Desperation ult to steal it, but it's got 5,000 health left. They're going to look to take the mid lane inner turret here. They will be successful. Now Order have the choice on if they continue to push mid, play the game, and Sion could stop the backs, but with a Bard there as well as the empowered recalls, it's not going to be the case. And now, unfortunately for Order, the amount of fantastic work they did consecutively for so many minutes, this completely goes awash. As
Harry wants it. He knows how close this game is. So many moments, so many big moments for this game 3, a decisive one. Legacy on match point. Order up against it. They know they need to do something crazy. They know they need to be risky. The last 5 minutes of play have just been back-to-back pop-off moments.
And they're really just keeping Raze down. They're making this Caitlyn's life an absolute nightmare. Doesn't have the flash available once again and is 0-3 suddenly. They're absolutely smashing Legacy in these little skirmishes that continue to take place. They're going to get themselves the 3rd Drake of the game here as well, staring down the barrel of a soul point for Infernal Soul. They are 100% still in this game, but they are having to deal with a Baron buffed opponent. That is Legacy.
Baron buff, all importantly, removed away from this Caitlyn. Other 4 members, though, will be quite happy because they still have it. The Chaos Crucible has been picked up here by the Bard to make life a little bit easier when Raze has to use his own Summoner Cleanse. That could be important for the grand scheme of things because you're seeing exactly what you mentioned before. The fact that this Assassin, when he's not protected, it's very easy for the Assassin and the Kali to dive that key target and just find those fights and ensure that Order still have something to play for. A soul point to look forward to in 4 minutes. Now, just a Baron for them to survive.
And they are spiking hard in damage right now. Leandri's Torment completed for Hayri. 1 level away from 16, which is 5 levels above Isles right now. 6 almost above his own support as well as that matter, but he's a monster. Nidalee working towards that Zhonya's Hourglass. There's 2 items completed here for a few people. Oh, hang on.
Hang on a minute. That's Ashe going for gold, finding that key target across the wall. Here comes Babbitt, the hero's entrance. Not going to knock off anybody at this stage. We're going to give a big magical shield to absolutely everyone. They disengage away for a second. In comes Swiper. There's a knock-up. There's a 2-man. And there's an opportunity for them to find a flank. Here comes Harry. He's looking for somebody. He sees tanks that are low, pops the gunblade, goes for the kill, goes for the execution, the binding, max range, that forces the stopwatch, that takes down the Cho'Gath. Pick by pick, delicate situation, but a one that for me, Order kited out beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely. Legacy actually miss a lot. They were being the aggressors, they were looking for the ganks, they don't actually find anything. All of the skill shots go wide with some nice dodges from Order, but just a couple of misses in there as well. And then they take the re-engage, the Scion goes in, and they know exactly what they're capable of when they're chasing Legacy down. I will say, considering the situation that they were in, Toppin plays that very well to survive and use the stopwatch, which, you know, normally you would say that's not a good stopwatch because he's already dead. But he buys time for his team to disengage, right? He actually redirects the attention of Order to not go maximize their ability to get kills. So it is just the Cho'Gath that ultimately goes down. Could have been a lot worse.
It could be. Home advantages paying off big time. Order know they're in the driving seat, and you take a quick look at the scoreboard and you see it. Well, Order up by only 1k. But they are finding the success where it matters. And you get a little bit concerned if they're able just to find fights like this. You add an Infernal Soul into the mix as well, and you think that could be the difference maker.
I mean, they're also, like, realistically, when you look at this game, their only physical damage is a Caitlyn on the side of Legacy. So that's a fantastic position to be ordering. Guy's gonna have to flash, though.
That's going to hurt him a bit. Soul point up in 90 seconds, now it's an easy target to collapse upon.
So, I mean, ultimately in this game, if you're able to keep the Caitlyn down, which they did, you can just build magic resistance pretty easily from that point, and then no one's going to hurt you. You know, you don't have to just stack armor to deal with them, but you get a Frozen Heart, you get a Sunfire. That's basically all you need right now if you're a Swiper. Never going to die to physical damage at this point. Caitlyn's a couple items away from that as a minimum. He's going to be an absolute powerhouse.
Well. Look at that, just gone for the instant power with the Last Whisper.
Kind of desperate. You know, going for a Last Whisper this early does show signs that it's just not going too well. Also got a crit cloak, so we're just getting a variety bucket of items there, unfortunately, for raids. But that's what you have to do when you're behind as a Caitlyn. You take all the shops you can. You buy exactly what you can to spike. Ray's going to be going to be much stronger when these team fights come about.
It will be. They don't have a Mikhail. It's going to be very much relying on Ayla being there to protect him. Without a flash, he's in trouble. There goes the arrow, not going to connect. 30 seconds until Soul Point is there.
That's big. Not having the Ash Arrow for the Soul Point does actually make the avenue of entry easier for the side of Legacy. Choke points are a bit less stressful to walk into now. You've got the Mikhails available for Isles here as well, as the cleanse of Rays.
Oh no, Harry, don't do it! He was on the flank in no man's land! He thought he was safe. He's fallen on down. And let's find more. Let's go for the Tempered Fate. Somehow, some way, Legacy are so good at keeping themselves restrained and knowing exactly what they're going to play for. They keep the goal close. They put the pressure on. They find a big pick at a big moment as well. And they prevent the Soul Point being picked up.
Hayri would have walked into that bush, found 3 people, including a Cho'Gath with knockups and silence, and just said to himself, what are they doing here? But at the same time, you know, there was no priority in mid lane yet. They were just pushing the wave in, and Legacy hadn't showed on the wave. Just a little bit more patience there from the mid laner of Order. It would have been less of an issue. Blue buff going to be stolen here by Babip as well. I don't think they're going to be poisoning themselves with Baron by any means. But they are finding themselves so much more time now, right? It's not going to be a forced Infernal Soul fight that's going to happen anymore. What was really crunch time for Legacy, they've purchased 4 more minutes and money with that shutdown.
Money that they so desperately need right now. Make sure that this Caitlyn is as strong as possible. That's not going to deter Ayla, however. He sidesteps the arrow, actually dances across with it. He's a man on a mission, one that's flying. As he watches that out the rear view mirror and goes, well, I'm glad that didn't hit me. But now Ayla Punish going to cancel out that ultimate with his shields. Now forced to flash away defensively. But here come the Bruiser boys, bouncing on top of your head, whack-a-mole style. Ayla survives, turns it around. There's the Zonia's Telly, do whatever he can. Protobelts for safety and charges on out. And Tapoon once again looking to be the lamb to slaughter. He hits the feast, it's not lethal. Order once again kiting superbly.
Yeah, it's just not going to be able to find the kills, Legacy. The dashes forward, just a bunch of tanks with not enough damage. And Ayla with a fully maxed black shield is going to survive easily through the attempted combo there by Legacy. It was cute in idea, but not in execution. Teleports on the flank here as well. It looks like there's going to be maybe 2 of them.
Right.
No, just the one. He's in Narnia.
He is indeed. Spell shield gets dropped instantly. The Baron continues getting closer and closer to smite range. Down to 2k. Coming to a K. Coming to closer. Nope, not going to be stolen away. Order get themselves the Baron. Another 3 minutes and they've got a soul point to look forward to as well. The pressure just enough with teleport flanks.
And this Baron should realistically afford them that free Infernal Soul as well. You've got the instant teleport in mid lane here from Order, trying to keep that tempo up. They're going to push mid lane out. Right now, when you look at the wave setup, though, across the entire map, they're going to have to take out that top lane outer turret as well. So teleport in mid just to push the wave in and keep Legacy busy, it seems like, as the rest of the team's still due for a reset to place some wards down themselves. I do wonder if we'll see a full 3-lane setup here, actually, though. You know, Hayri being that Akali could definitely have some pressure on his side lane if Swiper actually assigns himself to Topoon's lane.
They're on the hunt. Remove one key Baron ultimate. They're going to flash on forward to cancel his ultimate. He's just going to flash and respond as well. They said, you've invested to take me down, but have you seen where the rest of my team are right now? They're pushing mid. They're taking top. And that gold lead, whilst it was close for a minute, the Baron ensures that they go back in the driving seat by 4,000.
But ultimate's something to look at here. Can't hit everyone. In fact, hits no one. Just so hard to engage onto this Order roster, and it's their turn. No, it's not.
Morgana OP. And look what it's meant. They continue to push Tempered Fate because their second option, or a second opportunity to try and make a fight work in their way, doesn't pay off. Order continue to keep them locked in mid lane, and Harry just single-handedly takes out 2 turrets.
Really pushing the back, playing slow, controlled League of Legends now, Order. Knowing that they have the Baron, knowing that they have the advantage, they can push in those minions, they definitely have more damage than their opponents. But from this position, you would expect that Order should be able to at least keep Legacy within their base, which is why the first thing that I said is that this will probably just afford them a free Infernal Soul. It's hard to force your way into an inhibitor, especially against a team that's got a bar to choke out the Caitlyn or Galio. Like, they are able to hold the line incredibly well. But an Infernal Soul makes this game significantly more easy to win if you were Order. Tanks then getting amplified damage by just a lot more.
They certainly are. And I mean, what's crazy to me is you asked the question at the start of this best of 5 from game 1. What would it look like if the game slowed down? We have definitely hit that point where game 1 we were looking at a kill per minute. We are now looking at something far less than that. It's all about finding small, minute, micro advantages and achieving as much as you can with it as a result. 15 seconds, an Infernal Soul to play for. Legacy split apart between mid and bot lane. They need to be careful because there goes the ultimate. There's the stopwatch to be used as the arrow connects. Only once more though. What on earth are you doing? Pops the Zonias and then they say, well, thank you. That's a smite gone. Your soul point isn't easy now. And Legacy have been afforded a lifeline when it really shouldn't have been possible.
They get the flash out of Rare as well. Legacy. Oh, Hayri.
He's trying to try and do as much as he can right now. Hits them with the mark, looking for it. He's got that Banshee's spell. Goes for the execution. Look for the key target, trying to take out Raze. He's protected. Redemption comes on down the hill from afar. He's surviving. Rare has no mana. He can't do anything. He's shut down. There's the ultimate. It's a double kill. Raze doing everything he can. You bullied me in laning phase, but you've given me Caitlyn. Late game Legacy. They win these. And now he runs you all down. He says, how dare you cancel every single Tempered Fate this game? You can't spell shield auto attacks. And there is an ace.
Unbelievable. Legacy just pull a rabbit out of a hat. And all I want to do, Skibby, is compliment Legacy for their ability to pull the trigger, take the fight, have such a clean victory from this position as well, where it was Order's game to lose. Legacy find it. But I cannot say that with full confidence, just knowing full well that the hubris of Order seems to be their ultimate downfall at an individual level. The amount of times that they have been able to just play slow and perfect League of Legends and then just suddenly throw the entire game away just instantly is baffling. We'll see this fight one more time. This is after the Nidalee has already died trying to search for a kill on Raze instead of just getting the Infernal Soul. Note that the Infernal Soul is available during all of this. Hayri has a crack. They try and get into the fight. Bard's finding stuns as well. Ayla's got a one-man ult onto Babip. They will be able to lock him down, but he has a stopwatch. And Raze is literally winning the game during all of this. It's just so incredibly frustrating to watch and very baffling to actually see happen in a game like this.
They capture and capitalize, do Legacy. A team known for being patient. A team known for loving the late game. And that is definitely where they are right now. They will prevent the soul point. They will equal out the dragon count. 6 dragons, 3 apiece. They're Baron to play for in 40 seconds. But it just felt like, to me there, Rusty, the Order were almost in their own heads there. It said, we need to do something. We need to find a kill, rather than saying, hey, we've got mid-priority. We can just go to Dragon on our own.
They needed nothing. They had Raze on half health, stuck dealing with a mid-wave and an Infernal Soul available. And that's what frustrates me the most. And it's not just like, you know, in this case, yes, it was the Nidalee that went down. Yes, it was only that did it. But we've seen it from Rare in the same series, trying so hard to be a superstar when you just need to exist. It just gives over so much gold to Legacy for their fantastic timing. Like, they are punishing well, but it's absolutely throws from Order. I'm not going to sugarcoat that.
It certainly is. Now, the question is, can they shrug off that tilt? Can they forget that play only minutes prior? They are still the team in the driving seat. They're still the team with the gold leads. Still the team who's favourite to force these engages.
Right now, mid-priority does still belong to Legacy, though. They're able to posture Order out of the area. Topside River still belonging to Order, however, with their vision control does mean that they're able to start off this Baron. The question is, can they do it in time? Will Order, Legacy rather be able to get here? And it's got 10,000 health left, and you can see how tanky top in is now.
Kelly's pushing. He's pushing out bot wave right now. The ultimate connects to Cho'Gath. He instantly pops that stone plate, makes himself as tanky as possible. Flashes on out. Now he's going to receive the execute coming on here from Mr. Kali. In comes that teleport. He's out of range to use that hero's entrance. This is the best fight for Order to find. There he is. He overcompensates this time, but this time he's successful. A double, a triple. Give him all. Take them away. Find your target and lock him down. 6-1-6 is the man. They had to fight. They found it successfully. They punished the macro that Legacy were looking for, and they won't fall victim to the Baron dance here today.
No, and they should be able to end here, Skimmy. They've got 20 seconds on the next person spawning, and you can see that Ayla is just going to keep Tally busy so he can't clear the waves. They are going to do enough to win the game here. They are going to take us to at least a 4th game in this series, Skimmy. But they made it a little bit harder than necessary for themselves.
That they most certainly did. We're going to a game 4. Order looking to bring it back for the reverse sweep. It won't be the perfect trio for Legacy here tonight. Game number 3 is what we're here for. Game number 3 is where Order show up. As you can see from the reactions there, they are keeping the emotions locked down right now. They know the job is far from over.
And it's a big win for them, right? 6-1-6, I believe, was the final scoreline of Rare down in that bottom lane. And night and day is the first thing we said through that laning phase already from Order in the 2v2. But man, if they didn't have a 6-1 Ashe and the confident play that we saw out of Ayla and Rare, that could have been a very different game as well. So Order really keeping their hopes alive through the improvements of their bottom lane.
A stressful game as a Order fan to watch, no doubt. I'm sure you're feeling that they've got the control, then they lose it, then they go for a fight, and then they lose it. They're looking to try and control the game. And then there's that one time where they run the simulation over and over again and say, okay, this time we win, this time we know what we're about, and this time we can go to a game number 4. We're going to see how this series continues because we're going to jump to another quick break, and when we return, we'll see if the impossible is actually possible.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is deadly! He's got it!
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.